Hello and welcome to Sew with Christine. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to cut and sew a bralette top and a pleated skirt with side slits. If this is what you're interested in, kindly watch this video to the end. This is a detailed tutorial, so I'll urge you not to skip any parts so you will not miss out on important details. So kindly subscribe, like and share this video. Just turn your notification bell on to get updated whenever I post new videos. This is the fabric that I'm going to be using. First of all, I will cut the bralette before I proceed to cutting the pleated skirt. So I've gone ahead to fold this into two. For this bralette, I'm going to be making use of 8 inches for the width and 8 inches for the length. To get the width of your bust, measure from your center front over your bust to the side where the fullness of your bust ends. Whatever you get there is your bust width. What you get for your bust width is also what you'll be using for the bust length. Since the bust width I'm using is 8 inches, I'm going to add 1 to it for seam. That gives 9. So 9 divided by 2 is 4.5 inches. That is what I'm marking down right now. Then I'm going to take the length. The length will also be 9 inches. Once I'm done marking this, I'll go ahead and connect all the points together. Afterwards, I'm going to cut this out. One piece is ready. I will need 4 of these. So I will just go ahead and use this one piece to cut the remaining 3. Here we have this cut into 4 places, and this is what we'll be using for the bralette cup. Next, I'm going to place the 4 together. Then I will fold this to form a triangle. After that, I'm going to bring this part of the triangle to meet with this tip here. Then I'm going to cut through the center like this. After cutting this off, we'll be left with a sharp edge here. So we'll have to blend this out by trimming this off a little. Now you see we have a rounded center instead of a pointy one. I'm going to open this up so you see what it looks like after I was done cutting. I'm going to pick one side and make that part my center front. So this is going to be my center front. From the bottom here, I'm going to come up by 2 inches. I'm going to cut this way from this point that I've just marked to that tip in a curved motion. Before that, I'm just going to label this CF, which is center front. I have 4 of these, and that makes 2 pairs. Each pair has their right sides facing each other, as you can see. Ensure you have yours this way before you cut this out. Now that we have confirmed that this is properly arranged, I'm going to go ahead and connect this to meet with this tip here. After that, I'll go ahead and cut out this part that I've just marked. I'm going to take this piece that I've just cut out and place it on this paper. This paper is going to serve as the band. Then I'm just going to trace out the curved parts onto this paper, ensuring that the center front of the fabric aligns with the center front of the paper. You can make use of this piece, or you can just pick one of these, place it this way, and just trace the curved area onto the paper. On this paper, I'm going to take the measurement of the length from this curved point downward, and I'm going to mark my results on the end of the paper. And I'm just going to connect the points together using a straight line. After rolling this, I'm going to cut along the line. Here's a quick glimpse of what our bralette would look like. We have the band cut out on paper, so we'll need to transfer this to the fabric. So I've just gone ahead to take the measurement of the waist, and I've added the allowance to it. Next, I folded my fabric into 4 and then place the paper onto it. It's folded into 4 because I'll be using the fabric as the lining also. I'm going to mark 0.5 inch seam allowance onto the fabric right above the paper. Then from the tip of the paper, I'm going to measure downward 3.5 inches. I want the width of this band to be 3 inches. Then the remaining half inch there is going to be for the seam at the base. First of all, I'm going to trace out the main paper onto my fabric. After tracing out the main paper, I'll go ahead and mark the 0.5 inch seam allowance. At the end of this waistband length, I'm going to come up by the 3.5 inches and the 0.5 inch and extend all the lines so that they meet. Next, I'm going to take the waist length at the base and also here, then I'm going to connect downward. After that, I'm going to add the seam allowance for the center back. After adding the seam allowance, I'm just going to connect the points, then proceed to cutting out my pattern. So I'm done cutting this, but I do not want the center back to be straight. I want the center back to have a curve inward. So I'm just going to get the midpoint of this part. After getting the midpoint, I'm going to draw a curve. From this tip, I'll go in to the midpoint where I have my 0.5 inch. Then I will come out at the next tip. After cutting, here is what the center back looks like. And this is the view when it's opened up. You can see the center front was unfolded when I cut this out. So this is how I'm going to place my bralette onto the band. Next is to cut the bralette strap. For the width, I'll be making use of 1.5 inches. We'll be needing 2 straps, so I'm going to cut out 2 straps for this bralette. And each of them will be 1.5 inches. On this strap, I'm going to come down by ½ inch for the seam. Then from that ½ inch, I'm going to take down the back length. Then from the back length, I'm going to take down the front length. After marking the front length, I'll add the seam allowance to it. And so that's that for the first strap. I'm going to use the same measurements to cut the second strap. So far we are done with the cutting of the bralette. Let's proceed to the making of the pleats. For this skirt, I'm going to be making use of knife pleats. Here, I'll be showing you the calculations on how to get even knife pleats so that all your pleats would be equal and neat. So the calculation is total number of pleats equals to waist circumference or knee circumference or whatever circumference that you are interested in working on over the width of pleats. That is how wide you want each pleat to be. For example, we want to make knife pleats for a skirt, but we do not know the total number of pleats that we want for that skirt. So this would be unknown, equal to the waist circumference, let's say 30 inches over the width of the pleats. We want each of the pleats to be 2.5 inches wide. So we are going to divide 30 by 2.5 inches. That gives us 12 inches. Therefore, we'll get 12 pleats for a waist 30 inches when each pleat is 2.5 inches wide. How about when the waist circumference is 30 inches and we want the width of each pleat to be 1 inch wide? How many will be our pleats in total? So that is what we are looking for. So we have our unknown here. Next, we are going to write total number of pleats is equal to, we know the waist circumference is 30 inches, so we are going to write down 30 inches for the waist circumference divided by the width of the pleat. This time around, we want the width to be 1 inch, not 2.5. So 30 divided by 1, that gives us 30 pleats. So we have 30 pleats for a waist 30 inches when each width of the pleat is 1 inch wide. Hope this is clear. If you don't understand the calculations here, please ask questions in the comments. So one thing you should understand is that the higher the value of the width of pleats, the lesser the value of the number of pleats, and vice versa. For the purpose of this tutorial, we'll be making use of the second example. That is, the waist circumference is 30 inches and the width of each pleat is 1 inch. I have flipped my paper to the other side that is plain. This is where we will be drafting the pleats. From the edge of this paper, I'm going to mark down 1 inch. Now this 1 inch is for the width of the pleats. And this width of the pleats is what I'm going to call the outer fold. So we have our outer fold. Next, we are going to determine the inner fold. Determining the inner fold is based on two things. One, how full you want your pleat to be, and two, the quantity of your fabric. How much fabric do you have for the pleats? So for this tutorial, I'm going to be making use of 2.5 inches for the inner fold. If you go beyond 2.5 inches, you're going to use more fabric. If you go below 2.5 inches, you are going to use less fabric. Now that we have our value for the outer and the inner fold, I'm going to draw a straight line over these points that I have on my paper. And I'm going to label this line outer fold. Then from this line, I'm going to mark 2.5 inches at the top, and I'll mark the same at the base. Then connect using a straight line. After rolling over this, I'm going to label this line inner fold. Hope you get it now. So the outer fold remains 1 inch. That is how it will be all through. Then the inner fold will maintain the 2.5 inches all through. This time around, I'm going to mark the 1 inch for the outer fold at the top as well as the base. Then I will go ahead and also mark 2.5 inches for the inner fold at the top and at the base also. I'll repeat the process again. I'm going to mark 1 inch for the outer fold and 2.5 inches for the inner fold. After marking this at the base and at the top, I'll go ahead and connect all these points together using straight lines. And just like I did in the first two lines, I'll go ahead and label the remaining lines. Outer fold, inner fold, outer fold, inner fold, and so on. Next is to make our pleats using these folds that we have achieved here. I'm going to pick this outer fold and use it to cover up the inner fold completely. That is why it is called inner. I'll pick the outer one of this one or use it to cover the inner of the next fold, and I'll do the same all through my pleats. Only the word outer fold should be visible. All the inner folds must remain inside. This is something very easy you can actually do. You can do this directly on your fabric. I'm just using this paper so that I would be able to label things out for you to understand properly. So if you have watched my video to this point and you are yet to subscribe, please subscribe now, to like this video and share. Do not forget to turn your notification bell on so that you do not miss out on amazing tutorials from me. From here, we'll proceed to the making of the skirts. Basically, what we've done on the paper is what we'll be doing on the fabric. So I've gone ahead to mark out all my outer folds and inner folds, ensuring I left allowance at the side of my skirts before I start marking all my folds. So as you can see, I have my 1 inch, my 2.5 inch, my 1 inch, my 2.5 inch. While I was marking this, I made use of long and short markings to indicate their differences. So this is the front. The front is divided into two because of the slit opening. To get the slit measurement, fold your front fabric into 4. So this is the center front and this side is the quarter of the front. So one of the quarters would be your slit opening. Next is the band for the skirt. I'm going to be making use of width 5 inches and the length is the waist circumference plus seam allowance. I'm just going to cut this through. When it's unfold, it's going to be 2.5 inches. After sewing, I'll be left with 2 inches. Basically, the original width measurement is 2 inches. So I just added 0.5 inch for the seam allowance. So here we have our band all cut out. Now that we are done with the cutting of this dress, let's proceed to the sewing process. So I have my bralette patterns here. Next, I'm going to close this up and sew along this direction. I'm done sewing the 4 of them, and this is what we have here separately. The next is I'm going to place this over the other, right side facing right side. But before that, I'm going to fix my strap into one and place the lining over it. I'll fix the second strap into the other and place the lining over it. Once I'm done pinning down the straps, I'll go ahead and sew from one end of this bralette to the other. I'm done sewing this, and this is what we have here. So I'm going to bring in the band, and at the center back I'm just going to measure 0.5 inch first for the seam. Then I'm going to mark 3.5 inches for the back width where I'm going to fix my straps. So for this, you can make use of your waistband measurements to get this measurement here at the back. So I'm just going to place my bralette this way and pin the end of this strap onto the band. After I'm done with the first one, I'll do the same for the second one. Once I'm done pinning, I'm going to flip this bralette so that it lays onto the band, and I'll bring the edge of this bralette to meet with the edge of this band at the top area here, and I'll pin this down. I'm just going to pin around. After pinning this first one, I'll pin the next one. Next, I'll bring the lining of the waistband and I'm going to place it onto the main dress like this, ensuring the tip of this one aligns with the tip of the lining. So I'll take this to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew from one end to the other, as well as the center back. I'm done sewing this. Next, I'm going to tuck all of this into the band like so. Once I'm done tucking this in, I'm going to sew from one end to almost the end of the other. I will stop somewhere here and I'm going to leave this part open. The part that I left open is what I'm going to use to turn this out since I'm done sewing it. After turning, I'm going to sew over the opening that I had earlier on. Now this is what we have here. This is the back. See what it looks like. I'm going to use my hook and eye at the top and at the base there. So we have the bralette ready, and this is looking so beautiful, guys. Let me know in the comments if you'll be trying this out. Next is the pleats. I'm going to be closing a part of this opening since my slits didn't run through from the waist down. From the top here, I'm going to mark down my seam allowance. After that, from the seam allowance, I'm going to measure the slits length. So now this depends on you how you want your slit opening to be. I'm going to sew from the top down to where I marked. Then I'm going to fold the remaining areas inward like this. So this is what we have here, guys. We have our slit opening all set. Next, I'm going to place this over the back piece. This is the center back. I have my zipper opening there already, and I'm going to sew the side of the front to the side of the back. Once I'm done sewing the sides together, next is for me to run my pleats. Here's the skirt. I've gone ahead to run my pleats, and this is what it looks like, and we have our band here. I'm going to fix my band to this and also hem the base of my skirt. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.